Back to Mayday-san Airsoft in Japan, and today on Thespian Thursdays, we're going to be talking about 5 common mistakes that I see new Airsoft players make, and even some veterans or novice players. And some of these mistakes I am guilty of myself, but most of them are observations I've seen throughout the 2 years that I've been playing Airsoft. For today's example rifle, we're going to be using the AK Storm. And I was going to use the Mark 18, but I'm kind of liking this thing right now, so I kind of want to just showcase this bad boy here. First, before we start, we got to prove that it is a Airsoft gun. Okay, here we go. It's BBs. And prove empty. There is actually nothing going on here. But who am I kidding? They're going to demonetize me anyway. So if you guys want to support the channel, become a channel member, exclusive videos. We have a nighttime MP5 gameplay that you guys can check out on there. And yeah, so the first one I have written here is people bending their head down to shoot and their posture. So basically what you see is they'll have the rifle and they'll be like this, or they'll be hunched over like this. Now, part of that is because the optic is too low, so which is why we've seen more popularity grow for 1 lower third co-witnesses, like the EOTech or Unity risers, 1.92 inches, so really, really high. So that way you don't have to bend your head down like this, you just bring it up and the optics are already like up here like that. On this particular rifle here, we have a low mount. So with the AK, I like to use low mount. So you're going to end up crouching your head down like this or going like this, right? So you want to avoid that by bringing the gun up to your eyes rather than bringing your head down, right? Sometimes you might have like a mask or something that'll avoid you from getting that cheek weld. But one of the best ways I learned to actually bring the rifle up, even though I thought I was doing it right this whole time, I didn't realize that I was actually doing this. So I have these Pelter headphones on my helmet, and basically they sit so low for some reason because I guess the helmet sucks, but it would, if I brought my head down like this, it would bang into the headphones. So because of the way my headphones are, it forces me to bring the gun up and get a nicer cheek weld down here rather than up here. So finding that proper cheek weld and bringing the gun up to your eyes rather than you bringing it down is going to give you much better posture. Rather than this, you're just going to be up like this and you have the gun up. And that's going to help you in the long run for exposing your body less, just having better posture, having less of this tunnel vision, and just having more open peripheral as you can see everything around you rather than like, you know, zeroing in on the optic like that. So that is one thing I noticed that a lot of players do. So, you know, bring the gun up to your eyes rather than bringing your head down. Unless it's a low mount like this and you have to make some adjustments, but at least try to bring it up to your eyes. The second one I see is people shooting with one eye open. Now, this one, it depends. It is a preference apparently, but in Airsoft, I would say since you are in the heat of combat and there's only one life, you should be treating, you know, your Airsoft life as your own, because if you're out, right? So there's no respawns. So you want to make sure you have that situational awareness, especially in CQB, right? You want to make sure you can see around you when you have your eyes down the sight. And honestly, as soon as you close it, you start the tunnel vision. It doesn't seem like that much, but when you close your eye, you lose this whole side here of what's happening on your left, right? So having your eyes open gives you this wider peripheral vision and more awareness of what's going on. Not only enemies showing up, but what your teammates are doing. Do you have teammates on your side? What's happening over here? And it just gives you much better game sense that way. So make sure you have your eyes open and you'll be able to see through that. Also, is if you're using like a tube optic, for example, if you close one eye, it's going to end up like Call of Duty where you can only see through that little tube. If you have both eyes open, you're basically only looking at the reticle or your target in front of you, right? So you're not going to be restricted by any of the design flaws, I suppose, of optics. So yes, you have a bigger window with the EOTech, for example, but I guess in theory it doesn't matter because you're going to have your eyes open anyway. But there is a benefit to having a bigger window because it's easier. You have more leeway to where you can find the reticle, for example. And there's this weird subconscious kind of thing in your head that gives you just more peripheral vision when you're looking through a window rather than this little tiny tube, right? Now, the exception of not opening your eye and having one eye closed is when you're looking through a magnified optic. it is disorienting when you have one eye is being magnified and then one isn't, so you end up getting this weird double vision. So for scopes and LVPOs, I'd say you can have one eye closed and that'll be fine. But for anything else, like a red dot, try and keep that eye open and get into that habit right away. Another exception would be iron sights. So some iron sights can be a little hard to get used to, and I think it's okay to use to close one eye when you're trying to use the iron sight there, especially if you're trying to make a long precise shot. Close that one eye, line up those sights, and get that shot down. But for anything closer than that, you're kind of point shooting anyway. So I think anytime you are going to be using the irons for precision, then yes, I would totally close that one eye, or at least squint it a little bit so that you can kind of focus in on that front side post there. So that's my suggestion for you. The next mistake that I see often is people having their finger on the trigger and not having the safety engaged. Now, this is kind of a more advanced kind of technique to manipulate your safety, and it's not necessarily necessary in Airsoft because it's Airsoft guns, but I would disagree because it is one life game modes, and friendly firing in Airsoft gets you out as well. So if you friendly fire someone, you are also out. So you want to make sure you have that really nice trigger discipline. What I'll see often is just people having their finger on the trigger like this, and they'll be like, you know, just chilling and they have the finger on the trigger. And I know you see that in movies and video games, and I always cringe at that shit when I see that. Do not have your finger on the trigger, especially with electric guns where there's no wall. That's just gonna go right through and you're gonna shoot whatever's gonna happen. And I shot at a TV that way, and I learned the hard way to make sure my gun is always on safe when I am not presenting that rifle. Now, some people will say, oh, you're just gonna damage the gears and stuff. I think it's worth having that trigger discipline and safety manipulation. For one, you're not gonna friendly fire. For two, no misfires. And for three, if you do forget to turn off your safety, you had that muscle memory already engaged to turn the safety off and get ready to fire. The ideal situation is to be able to, whenever you present the rifle, turn off, you know, the safety like that. I can't really see. So turn off the safety when you're looking down the rifle. And then whenever it's not up, you just turn it off. For AK, it's a little bit harder. But for like an AR-15 or something like that, it's just a quick thumb safety, so you can really switch between that and just get that muscle memory down. But yeah, you don't want to be misfiring. You want to be safe. You don't want to be shooting people in the foot. You want to shoot yourself in the foot. You're not killing your friendlies. Just practice that trigger discipline and always have it outside the trigger guard. The only exception would be is if you're in CQB and you're already prepared to engage, then yes, I'd say have the finger inside the trigger guard, but not like on the trigger, just like around it. I'll do that for pistols when I'm in compressed ready. When you're not ready to fire and your eyes are not downrange, you keep that finger off the trigger. Okay, cool. Next mistake here is taking eyes off the workspace. So I'm guilty of this, and it happens a lot when you're under pressure. So when you have to do a reload, for example, you'll look down. I see a lot of people just looking down like this, grabbing this stuff, and look up and they get shot in the face, or they're gone. The person is already gone. So ideally, when you're reloading or whatever, you want to have your eyes on the workspace the whole time, ADS reload, but you want to have at least some sort of awareness of what's in front of you, even if it's just moving your eyes like this. So you can kind of just go from there. You want to try and get to that point where you don't have to look down. You just want to put everything in the pouch, maybe glance down for a second, and then go from there. So just keeping your eyes forward, and just always staying alert. You don't want to let your guard down, especially in CQB where someone can just pop up in a split second where every second counts. Outside, yes, you can kind of just chill. If like the enemy is like 50 meters away and you're chilling here, no one's going to come for you. But you still want to get into that practice of just keeping your eyes up, always being on your guard. And then the last one here is shooting friendlies. I see this happening a lot. I've done it a lot in my very first days of Airsoft. I remember this girl was like introducing me to the game and the rules, and the first thing I did was shoot her in the butt. And that was because of the combination of all the last thing I just said: finger on the trigger, not engaging the safety when I don't have the gun presented, and just overall being nervous and being too trigger happy. And I guess that's natural for most players. For everybody, I'm still pretty trigger happy. Like I'll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tap somebody instead of the 1, 2. But I think the first step to not shooting your friendlies is calming down, taking a breath, and keeping your finger off the trigger, having the safety on, and having this deliberate motion to engage any target. So if you do, once you identify that target, you go from there. One of the important things I notice is even after you got that down, having the patience to not shoot at the first thing you see is very important. And I remember playing at Attacker and I saw somebody, but I waited. I deliberately waited until I saw his armband and then I took the shot. There have been a number of times where I've just shot wherever I saw first and it's been a friendly and then we lost the game and it's been my fault. Just having that game sense, which you'll get over time, but the first steps you can do is to just have that trigger discipline, safety manipulation discipline, and just having intention when you're shooting rather than having it up the whole time and getting ready to fucking fire whenever you see something move. But anyway, a little bit of a disorganized video today. I'm sure we'll improve it, but I had to get this video out because I only have one day at the time I was recording to do it, and I got to go to work. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions for me for Thespian Thursdays, leave it down in the comment section down below, and we will talk about it. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.